Hello YouTubers, diecast collectors, it's Jared White, the J-Man 63, and in today's video I'm going to be going over another rendition of the Diecast Bible tips and tricks for collecting. So today I'm going to teach you brands, or how to be a diecast hustler. And if you got champagne taste on a beer budget, well, you're in luck, because I got a few brands today I'm going to be circling for you guys. There's going to be different things I'm going to mention in the video as a side note, but I'm going to mostly keep to the stuff. But maybe you're a diecast noob. Maybe you don't know what to buy, what to pick up. So I'm going to go over some stuff. So I'm going to crack right into it. Now, first model I have here that I want to go over, if you find it out in the wild, you definitely want to pick it up, is GMP. God, this thing's a little dusty. I've had this in my display for quite a while, so pardon the dust and stuff. GMP was kind of an offshoot of Peach State at first. It was started as Ertl, and the funny thing now is GMP is kind of under the Greenlight brand, and they started as GMP. They sort of split off as Acme. Acme is a good one to pick up too if you find it, but GMP is another good model. They had a lot of detail in the motors. They plumbed and wired them up. They did a lot of different stuff to the engines. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, like, how much should a GMP be worth? Usually their models are worth like $100, $150 to $200, depending on what you can pick them up for. If you can find a GMP for like $20, $25, which is what I got this Don Garlett Swamp Rat for, usually that's a pretty good one to pick up. Now, there are a couple other brands I want to mention that were sort of Ertl subsidiaries. Sort of Highway 61, that's one of them. That's a good one to pick up. Highway 61s have gone up considerably, and they were kind of another offshoot around the Ertl brand. Highway 61 is really good. A lot of their models have shot up to $200 to $300, depending on the model. Highway 61s, if you can pick them up for like $120 to $200, and that's a good one to pick up. Another one to get is Kyosho. Kyosho is a really good brand. Kyosho is expensive. Usually they're a Japanese company that made a lot of Ferraris and different stuff like that. Kyosho is a nice brand to get, and that their boxes are pretty recognizable. Usually they have a foam outer sleeve, and they usually have cardboard around them. Carousel 1. Carousel 1's a good brand to pick up. Usually they did a lot of racing stuff. Carousel 1 did a lot of IndyCar and different things like that, so Carousel's a good brand. And the last brand I want to go over is Exodo and CMC. Both those brands are good. Exodos can be worth quite a bit. They can be worth like $100, $200. Usually Exodos can retail in the $300 range, and CMC is like really up there. CMC can retail for around $150 to $300, depending on what you're buying. Some CMCs have gone up considerably. The CMCs are worth a lot. So if you can pick up a CMC in the wild for like $50 to $60 to $100, even at $150 for certain brands, go for CMC. For certain types of cars, go for CMC, because they can be worth a lot of money. CMC is expensive. So like I said, GMPs can be worth a lot. CMCs, Kyoshos, Exodos, any of that stuff can be worth a ton. Now those are the higher end brands. Now I'm going to move on to another brand that everybody loves and that a lot of people should know about by now, and that is Auto Art. Auto Arts can be pretty expensive. Some Auto Arts now are going for ridiculous money. They're going for like $300 to $600, depending on what it is. Like if it's a movie car, like the Mad Max car, like the older Mad Max stuff can be like $600, depending on what kind of Auto Art it is. The Performance Edition has sort of gone down because they did make a lot of the Performance Editions. So some of the Performance Editions are worth a lot. It just depends on what you're buying. This Callaway here is not a great example of Auto Arts that are worth a lot, because these haven't really appreciated in value a whole lot, but I did pick this up for 25 bucks. It was like 20 bucks online. It wasn't too bad. So now a lot of auto arts are pretty recognizable by their quality. They have a carpeted interior. A lot of the heater and AC buttons are painted and all that. So usually auto arts can go for a lot. Like I said, Kyosho is kind of the same ballpark as auto art. They did a lot of that detailed stuff too. So Kyosho's and auto arts are good. And a lot of their stuff was super detailed. Like you can see how the window, if you look inside, the window buttons were actually done on these. So auto art and Kyosho are good. Their brands can be worth a lot. So there's that. So the next group, so like I said, auto arts, if you can pick them up for like $40 to $50 in the wild, and like I said, Highway 61's good. If you can pick up a Highway 61 for like 50 bucks, 100 bucks, usually go for those. Now I'm going to go over American Muscle, Ertl. Ertl did a lot of nice stuff. It just depends on what Ertl it is. If it's just the regular American Muscle line, it's usually recognizable by the American Muscle crest. These editions are worth a little bit more. These are the Authentics editions. I think I picked this up for like 20, 25 bucks at a flea market. This model is probably worth a lot if we can fix some of the problems. Now, the problems I'm going to go over is something you also should be on the lookout for. People are probably wondering, what if the car is out of the box? Then what? You know, so it's all been freaking great so far, but what about like if a model's out of the box? Well, that's another thing you have to be very careful about. Is if a model's out of the box, things can break off easily. Now, antennas can be broken. I don't mean the car's going to like break in half, but the mirrors can be broken, the antenna can be broken. This bumper on this one was actually broken off on the post. It doesn't mean it's not fixable, but it is kind of a downer about this model. Now this did have a small little tiny hairline crack in the rear window, but that's not, to me, that's not a deal breaker. It's still a nice model. I did buy this for my mom's husband, Rick, so this was kind of a gift to him, and I found this at the flea market. I really can't complain for the amount of money I paid for it. It wasn't that bad. So now sometimes if you're looking at a box, you'll see like pictures and artwork. This one actually says the exterior, it's diecast body, opening doors, opening trunk, blah, blah, blah. Headlights are realistic. Retractable radio antenna. Highly polished electroplated chrome parts. There's like all kinds of things on this, and the chrome's good quality. It just depends. Like I said, some of the lower end cars, the chrome's not going to be as high quality. And then you got the matting in the trunk, and then you got the interior. The bench seats slide, it's got seat belts, carpeting, the visors fold down. Now, these models are actually being used in the Auto World line. The Auto World line is the more authentic version of American Muscle nowadays. So Auto World's picked up some of the Elite molds by Ertl, and that's what they're doing now with the Elite Edition molds by Ertl. So, I mean, Auto World's good to pick up too if you can find Auto Worlds. I don't know if the value of those have gone down. The American Muscles have gone down since Auto World started doing their thing, but like I said, if you can find Auto World or the American Muscle Authentics, 20, 25 bucks. The Authentics edition have gone up a little bit. The Authentics are worth like $100, $150 online. So if you can pick them up for like $50, $40, I would say go for that. Now, I'm going to go over some more Ertl with you here. Now, this is sort of the like medium end of Ertl. Now, you would know what to look for if you saw these pretty much. Hopefully you would. But this is the Ertl Hobby Edition, one of 5,000. If you can find these out in the wild, these are good to pick up because they were pretty well done. The trunk opened on them, the doors opened on them, the hood opened on them. Now, Ertl started like in the 90s when a lot of people wanted their old muscle cars and stuff. Ertl was like a good brand to get for a lot of people, but they came out with a lot of different lines and stuff. So Ertl can be confusing. Now, If you see the bottom of these, the exhaust will be painted, the engine will be painted. Like, there's high-end Ertl and there's low-end Ertl. Ertl had kind of their spectrum, so to speak. But this one is pretty nice. I'm not going to spend too long on it. But yeah, some of the Ertls are pretty nice, like this. But if you can pick this up for like $30, I think I picked this up for $40 maybe. But yeah, you should get this, probably. But if you can pick it up for like 15 to 20 bucks, it's pretty good, because only 5,000 of these were made, so this is pretty good. Now this is how you recognize American Muscle right here, by this crest right here that says American Muscle right there. That is pretty much a dead giveaway if you see that on a box. But yeah, that's Ertl. Now I have one more Ertl to show you. I know one thing to look out for is movie cars. In the wild, you should pretty much know this by now if you're a collector. Movie cars are a good thing to look out for. Now, Ertl did do a lot of these in the 1/18th. It just depends on what you're buying. Like this Monsters coach, I picked this up for 37 bucks. Now, online, this goes for at least 120. This can go for 100 bucks. So if you can find this for 25, 30 bucks in the wild at a thrift store, the movie cars, go for it. Now also, another one to look out for is Paul Walker's Mitsubishi from the Too Fast, Too Furious. That's a good one to pick up. Like I said, this is the American Muscle crest right here. Now they started out as they were racing champions. They were racing champions and Ertl, so they were kind of like two different brands. Well, they were two different subsidiaries, kind of. They were Ertl, and they split off as Racing Champions after that, and then Joyride and all that stuff. But, yeah, a lot of Ertls were pretty nice. It just depends on what you're buying. Now, this one, like I said, the Monsters coach, this is worth a lot. And, like, different models can be worth different amounts, but the movie cars will be pretty recognizable if you look for them. But, yeah, so definitely get the movie cars. Now, I've focused on a lot of the high-end stuff. I know I have, and I'm going to sort of move on to kind of the lower / high end of the spectrum still. Hot Wheels. Now, Hot Wheels is pretty well known for a lot of their newer stuff. A lot of people think 1/18th Hot Wheels. Well, isn't that the Elite, the Collector Edition line? Well, no. Hot Wheels made a lot of the 100% line. Now, a lot of people don't know what 100% is because they probably weren't, if a lot of newer collectors, they probably didn't live around that era, but 100% were actually pretty nice models. A lot of the 1/18th were pretty decent. Now, for the money, these were a little bit higher end than Maisto. They were about the same level as Ertl, just about. But the 100% line was pretty good. But if you can see, if you see models like this, pick up the Beatnik Bandit, because that model's gone up a little bit. That's like $37 to $40 usually online. If you can pick these up for like $15 to $20, usually that's a pretty good price. But a lot of these models have gone up considerably. Like if you can find this in the Ed Roth box, that's pretty good deal. Another line I want to go over with you is the Legends line that Hot Wheels did. The Legends line is pretty nice. And usually, like I said, what you want to look for, usually if you're in the wild, is boxes with like foam. A foam box with like the outer lining. Now, I forgot to mention one brand, and that is Franklin Mint. Franklin Mint and Danbury Mint were some really good makers of different die casts. So like when you hear the name Danbury Mint or Franklin Mint, you think, wow, that must be a pretty good brand. Well, Danbury Mint and Franklin Mint are two to look out for too if you're out in the wild. But yeah, if you look for a foam box with the outer lining and then the cardboard sleeve on the outside, that's a pretty dead giveaway that something inside is pretty high in there. But the Legends line was pretty good. The Hot Wheels Legends series was really nicely done. So it's usually got this crest right here, and it says Legends on the inside, and it's got wings on it. So Legends are pretty recognizable. The Snake and the Mongoose are two to look out for. I did pick up a twin mill in a 1/24 scale with a 1/18 scale. I think I bought that for around $20 25 bucks, and that was pretty much nothing for that model. I think it was around 20 bucks I bought it for, and that model online is worth 150. So the last brand I'm going to cover here is Maisto, or Mastio, however you say it. Maisto is a brand that I don't really like to talk about, but it kind of got me started out when I was younger. I sort of started out on Maisto. Now a lot of the Maistos have, some of them have gone up, like the GT, the Grand Touring cars, like the race cars have gone up a lot, like the older editions. Now the special edition, I wouldn't really bother with that. The special edition is not usually worth a whole lot. That's like Barago territory. But the special edition, the Premier edition is alright. But Maisto is okay, but some of the models have gone up a little bit, but it just depends on what you're buying. But like I said, there's some dog turds out there that are worth a lot of money, and anyway, I just don't think Maisto as a brand is great. Some of it's okay, but it just depends on what you're buying. Now the last end of the spectrum that is pretty much the bottom end is Barago. Barago is okay, but I once sold a 1/18th Barago Jaguar for like 15 bucks. It was a Jaguar E-Type or whatever, and that didn't really sell for much. So Barago can be worth a little bit, but it just depends on what Barago. But I don't know, Barago, I wouldn't really touch it. $5 maybe for a 1/18th if you can find it. If they want like $15 for it, stay away from it. The last end of the spectrum is Jada. Jada I don't talk about a whole lot. The only thing I think that's worth collecting in the Jada territory is the 1/10 scale Von Dutch bikes. Those are worth like $50. It just depends, but most of Jada's 1/18th and 1/24 scales are crap. I just don't collect them. Now, a lot of people collect Jada, and I don't mean to offend anybody that likes Jada that's younger. Some of our younger audience collects Jada, and I don't like to offend them, but most of them are just shit to me. So that's just my opinion. That may not be your opinion, but I think a lot of Jadas are crap. But I will say I'm guilty of having a couple of the 1/64 scale Von Dutch and the Road Rats series, but I do have a couple of the Road Rats and Von Dutch series. So some of Jadas are okay, but I don't collect Jada that much as I used to. So yeah, like I said, Jada's just not really a brand that's worth picking up to me anymore. Their stuff is just garbage. Anyway, I hope a lot of this has helped you guys on brands and what to pick up at a thrift store if you see it. Like I said, just be careful out there about your values. Do your research. I know a lot of you probably have your little phone and all that, so just make sure you look on eBay. Make sure you look at what values are going up and whatnot. Hopefully these last like 17 or 18 minutes have really taught you a lot and given you some invaluable information on how to, become a diecast hustler or have a champagne taste on a beer budget. Like I said, if you collect, that's fine, but if you're in the business of reselling, this can help you out a lot, because some of these models can be worth quite a bit. I know people think, well, these are just toys, but some of these toys can be worth a considerable amount. So anyway, guys, I'm Jared White, the J-Man 63. Have a good one. Bye.